Next guest with us, he drove in to be with us, and it's the former police commissioner of New York City, so Mr. Bernie Kerik. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. How many people in this room remember where you were on the morning of September 11th? On September 11th, I was the New York City Police Commissioner. I was responsible for the 55,000 men and women that work for the NYPD. When the first plane hit Tower 1, I was in my office. When the second plane slammed through the north side of Tower 2, I was standing under the building. I was waiting for the mayor. The mayor arrived about 3 minutes later. And over the next 24 hours, we would come to realize that I lost 23 people that worked for me, 343 firefighters, 37 Port Authority police officers, and close to 2,000 civilians. They perished in those buildings. And as bad as it was, as horrific as it was, I got to witness the best and the worst in humanity. The 14 people from Saudi Arabia, the 19 terrorists in total that flew those planes into the towers, into the Pentagon, into Shanksville, was the worst. But the first responders in New York City effected one of the greatest rescue missions in the history of our nation. They took 20 to 25,000 people out of those buildings, and they evacuated more than 1 million people out of southern Manhattan into the 4 boroughs. Why were we attacked? Because of that flag. In the aftermath of that attack, I got to work with some really great people. Before that, I worked for Mayor Giuliani. And that's extremely important for what we're doing here today, and I'll tell you why. When Rudy came into office in 1993, we were averaging more than 2,000 murders per year. New York City was the murder capital of the United States. If you think of how bad New York City is today and the rest of the country is today, we had 5 times the violent crime and murder then than anywhere in this country today. That's how bad it was. In 8 years, under Giuliani, we reduced the violent crime by 65%. We dropped the murder rate by 70%. And we dropped the murder rate in the black community by almost 80%. So when I hear people today say that it can't happen, it can't be done, crime is out of control, there's nothing you can do about it, I see cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle. They're all the same. They're exactly the same to me. They're crime infested. They're destroying their communities and their state. And they have the same exact leadership. There's a Democrat leading every one of those cities. Every single one. So I would ask the people in those communities, and let's touch on Philadelphia. Who wants to visit, work, live, or go to a school in a war zone? No one. You think Apple is going to take a flagship store and they're going to build it somewhere in Philadelphia, knowing that the murder rate today is up 40%? No, nobody's going to do that. Doug Mastriano is running against Josh Shapiro, who's been the Attorney General, to my understanding, for 6 years. Larry Krasner is the District Attorney of Philadelphia. This is a guy that was funded and put in place by George Soros. So I'd have one question for Josh Shapiro. Why is Larry Krasner still there? Why? Why is anybody still in place that's seeing a 40% increase in murder? Don't tell me it can't be fixed. Don't tell me it can't be done. It can be done with the right leadership. I've worked for, in my opinion, for some of the greatest leaders in my lifetime. I've worked for Rudy Giuliani. I worked for President Bush. And I worked for President Trump.